Grenadian, lucky like we, Studio Galaxy Day for you and me. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others, like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is around. Studio Galaxy in Confero.
Welcome, brothers and sisters. Welcome to our program on Studio Galaxy 473 in Confer. And you are with the Galaxy Equalizers. And we always remember you are welcome on that program. The number to call is 536 2558. We always look for interactive hour. And we want you to participate. We also want you to subscribe to Studio Galaxy, like and share our program. A lot is going on in the Caribbean region today, and where agriculture is concerned, the theme this morning is why Grenadian farmers are watching the U.S. moves in the region very closely. Why we think that is so. Why Grenadian farmers are watching the U.S. moves in the region closely. One could really say overnight, a lot has changed in the Caribbean. The U.S. has strengthened its military presence in the Caribbean as never before, maybe since post 1983. And as a result of that, you have a number of farmers in Grenada are extremely concerned. They're speaking about it. And here we asking why. And with us this morning, as usual, is our brother Joshua. And Joshua might be in a good position. Should Grenadian farmers be worried, concerned, or the economic importance of the U.S. moves in the region to the Grenadian farmer?
Well, good morning to everybody, home, diaspora, and worldwide. The theme this morning is very interesting theme in terms of should, farmers in Grenada be alarmed. They're watching the situation very closely. But I tend to think the world has changed recently and become very unstable. Whether it's unstable or whether it feels unstable is to be determined. The old order of stability has gone. That is clear. Europe feels very unstable. The Caribbean feels unstable. And most of the world are echoing that they feel unstable. Now, the U.S. has positioned a couple of battleships off the coast of Venezuela, and there's talk about will China support Venezuela? There's some kind of indication that there is some impending conflict that will take place between America and Venezuela. I certainly hope that that is not the case because I'm tired of seeing young, able bodied men go out to war, losing arms, legs, being killed without ever getting a chance to live their life. And the people who often send them to conflict often comes up with a reason, and history has shown time and time again that they often are lied to, and the reason they were sent to war is a lie, whether it's weapon of mass destruction or whether this country or that country has atomic bomb. But if you're an objective thinker, there are things that you need to understand. Certainly, I see correlations. I see the countries like um, North Korea, which has an atomic bomb or several atomic bombs. They don't seem to be invaded, but countries without atomic bombs seem to be invaded. Iraq, Iran. You look at the countries who are invaded, they have no atomic bomb. And nevertheless, you have the West saying we have to deter them from having atomic bomb. But if they don't have atomic bombs, it seems they're invaded. So that is a contradiction I see. But my point really is I don't want to see any more young men in their 20s without legs and arms. And I don't want to see any more mothers and sisters and brothers crying. Enough of that. We are supposed to be better. Now, the impact for the region or the impact for Grenada, it is dire. Um, you know, um, the researchers tell us if the boats don't come to Grenada with food for 2 weeks, Grenada will be in a situation where it can't feed itself. So if that situation happens, if the lines of shipping are curtailed because there's conflict with Venezuela, it certainly will have some dire consequences for Grenada with trade routes. But as I talk, it seems important to me to share a little bit more geopolitical information that's going on in the world. Many people may or may not know that Venezuela has the biggest oil reserve in the world, confirmed. It's not a speculation, it's confirmed. Maybe there are other countries with bigger oil reserves, but it's not confirmed. Now, there is something that some of you may have heard about before, something called Monroe Doctrine and other kind of doctrines, which, America has written and says that, Central America, South America, the Caribbean region is its sphere of influence. And essentially, what that means is that America directs what goes on in that part of the world. Now, remember, America has written the policy, nobody else have agreed with it. And that's the way that it works. So we have this situation where Venezuela is selling its oil to China. America doesn't like that because America has put an embargo on that. Now, we, the little non-aligned countries, the little tittery countries, as I call us, in the Caribbean, we are simply potentially collateral damage. If our food supply is highly disruptive, obviously, at this stage in the game where moves are being made, our government has to engage in a food security plan with the farmers so that we have food for our population. So there is potentially a direct consequences for Grenada and other islands in the region. But as I talk, I just pray that we don't go killing each other as we've done over history. But I think history is very powerful. It tells me that yeah, we go kill each other again. That's my worst fear. Seeing young men looking so beautiful, young women looking so pretty, bawling and crying because of a conflict for what? Resources that can be negotiated. So, Mr. Pierre,
Well, you said you worried about mothers and sisters
and brothers,
crying, but
granddaughters.
normally they cry when they're dead. They don't cry to prevent them from dying.
Yeah,
We seems to lack peacemakers,
yeah,
and particularly if we in the Caribbean consider ourselves as collateral damage,
hmm
perhaps we should be more of a peacemaker
I agree.
and prepare to negotiate. Now that the United States, some people might call it gunboat diplomacy
Yeah.
or, or gunboat policy. Now that the United States has flexed its muscle
Mm-hmm.
in front of Venezuela,
Mm-hmm.
there definitely don't seem to be anyone in the Caribbean that have the influence to call on the United States of America and Venezuela to mediate, to mediate. Say the United States said, or the pretext or the argument they advance that Venezuela is a country that pushing drugs in the United States. That is the argument that they advance, and they may have their reasons and justification for advancing the argument. Venezuela had a election, and most governments in the Caribbean perhaps would argue within closed door that Venezuela take the election. In addition to that, a few 100,000 people are leaving Venezuela, and most of them are heading for the United States. So the United States perhaps could present a legitimate argument because the policy of that country is directly affecting mine. But it doesn't matter what argument individual use for war. The biggest issue is we don't have peacemakers in the Caribbean because the Caribbean and CARICOM perhaps should have able to call on the United States and Venezuela to mediate a peaceful solution among them. But we, the pawns, the small fries in the Caribbean, seems to have taken up our sword and we join side. Some back United States, some back Venezuela. When you back Venezuela, it's because you back Russia, China. And when you back United States, it seems you're against Russia, China. And the farmers in Grenada have a legitimate reason, a concern to worry about their economic survivability because we depend heavily on the United States. What are some of the crops we export to the United States, Joshua?
Well, trade is very important between the U.S. and Grenada. We do a lot of fish. The main fish that we catch and we export is to the United States. I mean, our soursop, I would say 99, 98% of the soursop goes to the United States. And there are many kind of things that also go like our mangoes. There's a small trade in terms of cocoa balls, etc. But our main trade is not with Europe or the UK, it's with the United States. People send all kinds of seeds in. We have a setup in New York called Labbe Market, and they're very patriotic Grenadians who, commission a lot of products in Grenada from individuals to be sold in New York. So a lot of people make a living in terms of trade with America. Even nutmeg goes to America. I think there's a big demand for nutmeg oil being processed and kind of used as an oil in pharmaceutical products, etc. But the key thing though is that I think I don't want to mislead. I think about 75 to 85% of our foods in Grenada is imported, and the dominant importation comes from the United States. So if we say we import in say 10 products from the world, 8 of them I believe would be coming from the United States. It might come from different places, but it comes via the United
And
States.
this is a challenge we have in Grenada.
Hmm.
When you listen to some of our politicians in Grenada, they don't speak as if they need the United States. Grenada have St. George's University, over 20% of the GDP is as a result of St. George's University. Then we have remittance. People away because we have a ton load of Grenadians in the United States, not in China, not in Russia, not Iran, not Israel, the United States of America.
Yeah, those are good points.
And they send back money in Grenada.
Yeah, no, that's a good point you make. Jamaica has 20% remittance. I think Grenada is about 7%. Now, the point you make that needs to be really examined and really looked at and really acted upon is who are the brokers? Who are the peacemakers in the Caribbean? Who's talking to the United States?
None. We have no peacemakers in the Caribbean.
You know,
Everybody takes sides.
you know, because
Not even the trade unions in the Caribbean qualify now to venture. Everybody pick up the sword. They call themselves non-aligned. Those are the satellites of communism. They don't non-align, they lie. All those non-aligned nations are satellites of communism.
Yeah. So we need the peacemaker.
Well, no, he passed peacemakers.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, you know, there are certain kind of preludes that we've seen in the past in terms of conflict. We've seen the moves. Usually it starts with, oh, this country is a great danger, and the narrative continues. They oppress the people, they do this, they do that, and all the rest of it. So with Saddam Hussein, now the dominant view in America is that we should have left Saddam Hussein in power. It would have been better.
You see, people would always go in hindsight.
Yeah, hindsight.
We must be proactive.
Yeah.
Somebody asked on the program, can you share your views, the reason the United States took this action in the first place and through the recent issue? Well, the United States and Venezuela is technically at ideological loggerhead. Cuba and Venezuela have spent millions of dollars, billions of dollars, energy and time to propagate socialism, directly opposed to the United States of America. Venezuela have perhaps the greatest oil reserve in the world. And Venezuela was the richest country in South America and was said to also be richer than China. Communism, left wing, socialism has squandered the wealth of Venezuela.
Yeah.
You have thousands of people in jail in Venezuela. You had an election, and some people against Venezuela would tell you that they didn't thief the election. They just take it. They just take the election. And they are jailing people. In addition to that, thousands of Venezuelans are leaving Venezuela and go to the United States market.
Yeah.
Even Trinidad. I believe Grenada should take a 20,000 Venezuelan.
Yeah.
I'm always arguing for more people in Grenada. 20,000 Haitian, 20,000 Venezuela.
Yeah.
Guyana could have taken some and Dominica could take some.
Yeah.
But when you have a country with a policy that causing the people to leave and go in other country, you must have problems.
Yeah.
So it's not whether the United States right or they don't right. These big countries like to use gunboat diplomacy.
Yeah. I have a slightly different take on what
You spent a long time in America.
I have a slightly different take on
Go
what,
right ahead.
what's going on.
We need
And,
that.
before I start my my views, I always have to be a little bit careful in terms of responding to things
Next thing
because
they take a visa.
yeah, because
My visa up, my passport up, everything up. Everything up.
because if we use the argument that country must be doing something wrong for
Why people leave in the country?
why people
Of course.
live in the country. So let me get to my not so serious point, but serious. We have more people from Grenada who have left the country than in Grenada. So is it the fact that
Of course.
Grenada is doing
During,
something?
during the Federal Rebellion,
Mhm.
after the British conquer Federal,
Uh-huh.
over 10,000 Grenadians go to Trinidad.
Yeah.
And that is why you see Carnival as it is so
Mhm.
strong in Trinidad
Yeah.
because of the French influence.
Okay.
During the Gary period, a number of Grenadians run away.
Yeah.
During the 4.5 years of the experiment with coup d'etat, over 5,000 Grenadians
Yeah.
left the country. That is the fastest time
Yeah.
they
So
solved
where
on
there's conflict or on
people run.
people around. Okay, so let me tell you what I think is going on in terms of this America Venezuela situation. I believe that what has happened is America feels very threatened about the leadership of the world. For the longest while, America was the only superpower in terms of the world. They were, de facto leaders of the world. What has happened is that China has become a success story with its manufacturing and technology, etc. And America feels threatened about the rise of China. America has put certain sanctions, on different countries. They put an embargo on Venezuela oil. China buys the bulk of Venezuela oil. China also buys from Russia, and I think there's sanctions on Russia as well. So what's happening is a bigger geopolitical game is being played out.
And we are the pawns.
Yeah, in our backyard.
We are the collateral.
Yeah, with
And
the
that's why we have to be smart and wise.
hmm
Don't take sword and jump on side. Be tactful and diplomatic.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that often is in my mind, being such a small island as Grenada, is, we ought not to take side. What we ought to do is to say, is the leadership that going on now, is that in our best interest? And if it is, then we should support it. If
Just
it's
let
not,
me read Craig Barry. Can who in CARICOM could bring the noted players to a negotiated table in terms of diplomacy? We asking this question because Grenada have to understand that our economy is more dependent on the United States of America than Russia, China, and anybody else. And I said it before, St. George's University contributes 20% plus. You have tourism. 50 tourists from America, better than 75 from Europe, better than 100 from China. We know that for a fact. You have remittance. In addition to that, you have the sale of passport. And then you have we can export sauce up fish and about 20 other products today. So even if we have the best relationship with Africa, what can we export into Africa in the next 5 years? Our economy is tied, more dependent on the United States of America. So how come our ideological perspective is not reflective of our economic realities?
I think sometimes we figure that we're independent and
We
don't
are one among the communists in Grenada.
we don't really understand what independence is. I mean, we say we're independent and we stretch out our long arm to America or we stretch it out to Europe.
But nothing's wrong with being independent and then minding your business. We have to get on that the farmers in this country have to seek their business. Because if this gunboat diplomacy, as the United States is too dramatic at this time and overreaching,
Yeah.
and maybe even I support a lot of Donald Trump policy. Sometimes Donald Trump is untactfully like a moron. And he feels that what United States need to achieve in 25 years, he could do it in 4.
Yeah, but
He angering a lot of people.
yeah, but also his kind of team, his leadership team, they seem to think that
Just like him.
but they seem to think that his style is one of a negotiating style.
Gunboat diplomacy.
And it's not some kind of he doesn't know what he's doing, but that's how he negotiates. That's what they are telling the public, but it's just causing instability
Then
and isolating
how do
his
we in
friends.
Grenada?
I think you're
We
right.
have to be realistic.
Yeah,
And the Grenada farmers have been silent.
who could we call on besides the Bajan? I mean, that
Them
lady.
Bajan names start to hide already, right? Mia Motley says she don't sell it passport. She opened she mouth big and I had a little 39. I give up on Mia Motley.
Yeah,
Because I thought Mia Motley could have lead.
yeah, she is probably the recognized statesperson in
Recognize
the
what state person she want to pull sword and go behind Israel.
you know.
She want to play she is a intellectual socialist.
Yeah.
Now you hear she start to see Bajan might turn against her. We're not selling our passport. We're not selling our passport. Mia let us down.
Yeah.
So I am the Jamaica Prime Minister, Holness. Perhaps he said do good too, but perhaps he was even a better one because he seems to
Who
have
Jamaica?
Jamaica Wholeness.
Wholeness. Oh yes.
But right now he's studying election.
Okay.
Can't study
but,
US.
but he's done quite a lot of infrastructural development with roads.
With Jamaica?
in
What's
Jamaica.
wrong with you? Wholeness no good.
Yeah, because
Bustamante on the dying bed. He begs Siaga, don't forget the poor. Because Bustamante forget the poor.
Yeah.
You know, Bustamante was terrible in Ghana to the Rastafarians and all that.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Then Siaga on the dying bed beg Wholeness, don't forget the poor. Because Siaga forget the poor.
Okay.
Wholeness forget the poor too.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Why
yeah.
you think Jamaica have all this violence?
Yeah.
We in the Caribbean have to mind our business
Yeah.
and seek our interests.
Yeah. And
All these heavyweight left-wing people and them, they done good.
well, Mr. Pierre, who you talking about? Who's a heavyweight left wing in Grenada? Tell
Grenada-
me one.
All them that pretending them is left-wing.
I don't know any
Well,
heavyweight.
you don't know them because they're not heavyweight, but they're playing heavyweight.
Okay.
And the confrontational politics that they have,
Mm-hmm.
they're not in a position now to present themselves
Yeah.
as a negotiator.
Yeah. I think that is the most important point of the program this morning, that we are calling on our leaders to step in and negotiate and to just start throwing some water on the fire. We want that. But I want to advance a point that I've seen being made, for a little while now by our intellectual. And the point that I'm seeing, and people use the word quite often, conflict, and I guess they mean mix things up. But what I'm seeing is this. There's this term that we've used a few times on the program. We talked about decolonization. Now, decolonization essentially looks at the structures that we have in place and we use it and say, is it still fit for purpose? Does it benefit us? And that process is going on in Africa, and to a lesser degree maybe in the Caribbean. I think sometimes people kind of, mix those two things up. They think like, if we have to decolonize our system. That means we have to be anti-America or anti this one and whatever. And that really is not the case. We've argued on this program over and over that we have to take responsibility for solving Grenada problems as Grenadians. And as we start to decolonize our systems and make it more beneficial, that does that mean that we have to kind of, be antagonistic to country A or country B? In fact, I would argue we need to be encouraging a new relationship with countries that benefit us rather than seeking, to a degree, a little revenge,
Not a little revenge, plenty revenge is seeking. And we have made that point. One of the biggest challenges, I hear a number of people speak about Africa and I tend to stay away from it a little. One of our biggest problems is our intolerance for dissenting views. And the left wing, the communists, and a lot of other African countries is noted for that. Anytime you disagree with them, you go in jail.
No, people in Nigeria used to disappear when you disagree.
You
with them.
disappear. Look at Grenada here. When you disagree, you get the wrath of the government. They can't hold you and put you in jail yet. They're working on it. But you get the wrath of the government. So how could you talk about decolonization when you're not tolerant to dissenting views? So a lot of people, particularly intellectuals, they stay very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Remember Paul Schoon said, survival for service. It's an interesting statement coming from Paul Schoon.
For service.
Survival for service.
Yeah.
So most of our intellectuals, you wouldn't hear they have discussion like that.
Okay.
It must be in closed doors.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid, according to who win, they'll get locked up.
Oh, gosh.
And the communist countries and the left-wing countries and the so-called progressive countries, they jail their opponents.
Yeah.
You have thousands of people in jail. Now, in Grenada here now, these gunboat diplomacy, I will call by the United States, I don't agree with it. It is too strong. And as a result of that, it could end up in war.
Yeah, that's my fear.
It is not only you push a little string to see if you could hold some drug traffickers. You want to hold Maduro, right or left or wrong. Maduro take the election. But for the United States to be judge, juror, and executioner and determine they must lock up Maduro is unacceptable. And that is where we don't have the people with the reputable history of diplomacy.
Yeah.
So in a crisis, nobody consider you. And this is a challenge we have. While that is going on, Grenada is a poor country where a number of people's lives are affected by the farming community. And when these issues happen in the Caribbean, the farmers in the Caribbean stand to be affected seriously.
Yeah, Syria, the population.
Tourism in the Caribbean stand to be affected.
Yeah.
And when tourism is affected, the farmers is affected.
Yeah, but let me talk
Remittance stand to be affected.
Let me talk on tourism and the impending danger with tourism. 85% of our income apparently comes from the service industry, mainly tourism. Now, we've been warned over and over our economy is too much inclined towards tourism. And if there's a disaster with tourism, it's going to have severe impact on our economy. Money circulation, our farmers, our supply, our food, etc. So in between all this impending or potential chaos, which I wish does not happen, I wish, as Mr. Pierre indicated, that some kind of negotiation takes place and things are dampened down. But I also think it's an opportunity for our government to really start looking at some kind of food sovereignty policy. I know they did something on food security, and food security will not be around if any conflict takes place in the Caribbean, because it will affect the shipping coming to the Caribbean. They would be saying they're not traveling those water because they're gonna be hit by whatever, all kind of drone warfare that we have these days. So a lot of the conflict these days, you don't see anybody, you just see that
Trade
drone.
would practically run to a halt.
Yes, and that's going to be major disastrous for us and our children.
Remember, in 1973-74 crisis, we used to have open bat and close up play. Fig was open bat and it was close up play. Breadfruit was headmaster and they used to call it Jericho. People use icing sugar to sweeten tea. And sugar raised from 16 cents a pound to $5 a pound.
Whoa.
A lot of farmers had goat and cow milk. And mothers that had children used to be going to buy cow milk.
Yeah.
I remember my father took a decision to sell milk only to women with children.
Right, okay.
And we in the home was not permitted to drink milk
Yeah, your father.
because the pig are ready.
Yeah.
My father said the milk going to go to the women with children.
Well, your father sounds like a public policy specialist.
Always. So our country now is unprepared and our leaders don't have sense.
Oh, God.
And they have not thinking crisis. The actions that from the time this government come inside it, I don't have much hope in this government. But to be very frank with you, I don't have much hope. And that's why I believe the farmers, their mouth supposed to be more long.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, it's often said in all crises there's an opportunity, and I'm a very much patriotic nationalist type of person, and I believe we have an
Just
opportunity.
come in and say the patriotic thing. They're cheering you if you disagree with you and they say the patriotism.
Yeah, but if you're a capitalist and you're a communist, you're all patriotic. Yeah, all of you are a little misguided.
Go and tell them left wing that. And as you said that, one of my brothers on the program here, and I need to read that. That is, he said, I lost it, where Hudson George, if you see his post,
Yeah, but
if you see his post, I think he had a post about extreme views. I
yeah,
lost it. See if you get it.
okay, but
He's saying all extreme views are not good.
Yeah.
And he calling on Grenadian to read about Hitler and Joseph Stalin.
yeah,
And I think that's important. Our leaders in Grenada. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Extreme political ideas.
extreme political ideas are not good.
Yeah,
And this is why we're making this statement. Particularly because small islands like ours are considered as pawns. And in a crisis, we are collateral damage.
We often get like a fishing something processing center for a vote at the UN.
So-
we just pawn.
So as a reason, as a group, as CARICOM, we have not put pressure on our leaders. Try to be diplomatic and peacemakers. And don't take your sword and join superpower party.
Yeah. But Mr. Pierre, I think before we finish the program, we should really focus and emphasize the opportunity in this crisis, because we really need a food sovereignty, food security action plan for ourselves, because there's going to be other crises in the future. And I agree with you, we don't appear to be prepared. The other statements you made, I'm not so sure
I
about.
differ from the government, man. The government are not thinking. The government not look at the Minister of Agriculture.
Uh-huh.
The Minister of Agriculture have to be agricultural lunatic. The Minister of Agriculture closed down the water for Maribor farmers. What could be the justification, the rationale, the reason for doing that?
Yeah.
And he says one man, he thought it was one man. 22 people, you know.
Yeah.
He thought the one man pop a little bit green. So you don't close down water for that. They are not thinkers.
Yeah, but there's a lot of misinformation that goes around. And as
So if you're not giving information, you don't know rumors and speculation going on well.
yeah, lots of misinformation. And as you use that example, I'll give you the most hurtful and harmful misinformation that's going around in terms of agriculture for the farmers. There is an accepted narrative at the higher echelon that farmers can't produce, farmers have poor quality, farmers are unreliable, etc. Now, that is the dominant view I hear at the upper echelon being talked about all the time. Now, when you go in terms of IGO, you go to Foodland, Food Fair, you go to Calico, you go to Price Busters in Grenville, you see the fresh produce. It's beautiful. I go on Saturdays to get a little seasoning from Calico. Beautiful products. Who's producing it? It's our farmers. I drive through St. David, Eastern Main Road. There's a lady who sells on a Friday, and the display is beautiful. Sweet potatoes, plantains. Her plantain looks so yellow and nice. But nevertheless, the dominant view by our leaders who are supposed to be supporting us in agriculture, their view is that of the hotel view.
So maybe the discussion now, as we have United States gunboat diplomacy in the Caribbean and farmers are concerned, ought to be what food can we grow in Grenada quickly,
Yeah.
under 12 months.
Yeah.
And then the government come up with a list of food that we can grow.
Yeah.
What are some of the weeds that we have now that we could use? For instance, bamboo. Could we eat bamboo? Could we, what foods? What's about shukaku? How long does shukaku take to grow? Is it under 6 months? Could we use that? The munga. How fast munga could grow? Some people say munga good, I don't know. Some people say munga good for medicine. Could we increase the amount of munga? What's about sweet potato? What's about beet?
Yeah.
And then they have a next one, radish.
Yeah.
Could we increase the production of radish? Do we have the ability? Do the farmers have the information?
Yeah.
What's about CMOS?
Yeah.
Could we increase the CMOS population? By now, the goats the government bring supposed to start to give milk.
Yeah.
Is Grenada a good government? Decide to make some small dairy, goat dairy. So in the event that war break out in Ukraine, the Middle East, Venezuela, wow, Grenadians could have a little milk.
Yeah, you make an excellent point in terms of those things that you just mentioned, because
You think those could run that?
I'm sure if he put his mind to it, he
Well, wait, man.
But let me tell you something in terms of evidence. We had a Hurricane Beryl, and everybody needs to know that. I don't hear anybody talking about that. Hurricane Beryl coming, mash up our banana, mash up our plantains, etc. I was involved in the rehabilitation of plantains, not so much bananas. And the group I was involved in, we say we're going to grow plantain. And within 12 months, 8 to 12 months, we had planting back in Grenada. We reach a stage in Grenada today, just over a year since Beryl, that we have an oversupply of planting in Grenada. You telling me that we can't be prepared to kind of essentially create our own food security and work towards food sovereignty? Of course we can. We need that planning, that direction, that leadership, incentives.
But right now, it's a crash within a crash. Because if you watch what's going on in the world, it seems as though war will break out in the Middle East. Turkey has just blockaded or put more sanction and restriction on Israel. Israel looking for the people because Hamas take the people and they want the people and they're going after them. You have the issue in Venezuela. Russia get a chance to mash up Ukraine. If the United States invade Venezuela, China will use that opportunity to invade Taiwan. And as a result of that, you will not find foodstuff coming in Grenada. The black market going to fly up to sky.
Yeah.
And the poor people might have to burn down the plantation to get food because they would not stay hungry.
No.
In 1973, a loot. Eric Gary said the shops are closed. You cannot get food. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
That is told him in 1951. He said, go and hunt.
Yeah.
So the people went and hunt. In 1973, they loot the stores. The stores, the supermarkets was selling to their friends. And it was not selling to the poor people. $5 for a pound of sugar.
We're not going back there.
No, we could go back there if they want to go back there. If you don't, if the Ministry of Agriculture and even the University of the Western is supposed to be think tanking, brainstorming, we have to force bright people to think. Because we have one amount of bright people with one amount of certificate, they hide it. Every time a crisis comes, our intelligence are going to hide. You see the potential for the disaster that's in the world today. The United Nations is at its weakest end.
Yeah.
When these people kill a few million people, then they go sit down on top.
No, we really, really have to, see some leadership now. It's critical that we have leadership in the country now.
Well, I think it's
Because
now we
this
have to
is
ball.
real. This is real that's happening. It's not a fantasy gunboat that America has lodged. America has already kind of done the coalition in terms of splitting CARICOM.
America does split CARICOM. We're blaming America for everything.
Yeah.
CARICOM split themselves.
So
It's unfair.
yeah.
All the CARICOM countries, their people don't want to go in Russia. They don't want to go in China. Even the Grenadians that train in Cuba want to go in America.
Yeah.
So you cannot be supporting the communist country to jail the people while you have freedom in your country.
Yeah, because what
Let me just read this post from this brother.
Yeah.
We need to go on an offensive offering supplies, logistics, support, etc. to monetize the opportunity. Our $1 billion budget is a few months spending during military conflict. Grenada has no role to play. You was practically speaking about that. Grenada is currently best asset. Grenada geography is Grenada's currently best asset. The next threat will be potential tidal wave of Venezuelan coming to Grenada and causing social and political risk. Just look at the UK, USA, and Germany. You're going to have, when war starts in Venezuela, Venezuela is 7 miles from Trinidad. And Trinidad is 90 miles from, and I want some Venezuelan come down. You want about 10, 20,000. You have a call on the line? Yes. Caller. All right, we lost that caller. So definitely the farmers in Grenada have a legitimate reason to be concerned. And I want to hear the farmers' voice more.